You ever walk into a bookstore, head to the religion section, and just get hit by this wall of Bibles? You've got the King James, the NIV, ESV, the Message. It's just this sea of acronyms and different editions. And honestly, it can be totally overwhelming. You just want to read the Bible, right? But first, you have to pick from like dozens of different versions.
Okay, let's get right into it. The big question is, why? Why are there so many? Are some of them wrong? Is there like one correct Bible and a bunch of bad ones? Let's figure this out together.
And, right off the bat, let's just clear something up. This whole thing isn't really a debate about which version is right and which one's wrong. That's a super common misconception, and it kind of misses the much more interesting story happening behind the scenes. The real reason for all this variety? Well, it all comes down to one thing: philosophy. Yep, you heard me. Specifically, the translation philosophy that the scholars and the committees behind each version decided to follow. So it turns out that pretty much every single English translation of the Bible exists somewhere on a spectrum between two main approaches. And if you can understand these two philosophies, you've basically cracked the code. So on one end of the spectrum, we have what's called formal equivalence. The easiest way to think about this is word for word. The goal here is just pure faithfulness to the original Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. These translators are trying to preserve the original grammar, the original word order, even if it ends up sounding a little stiff or kind of unnatural in modern English. And then, way over on the other end of the spectrum, you've got dynamic equivalence, which you can think of as thought for thought. Now, with this approach, the goal is totally different. It's not about translating each individual word. It's about capturing the original idea or thought and then expressing it in clear, natural English that we'd actually use today. So you can start to see the trade-offs, right? The word-for-word approach, that gives you incredible precision. You're getting as close as you possibly can to the original sentence structure. But sometimes, it can feel a little clunky to read. But on the other hand, the thought-for-thought approach gives you a much smoother, way more readable experience. The catch is, you're trusting that the translators perfectly captured the idea, not just the words. So it really comes down to this. What do you value more in a given moment? Literal accuracy or easy readability? So now that we have that framework in our heads, let's see where some of the most popular Bible versions actually fall on the spectrum. This is where the theory gets real, and it all starts to click. And here's how it shakes out with some of the Bibles you've probably seen on the shelf. Way over on that highly literal, formal side, you've got versions like the NASB and the ESV. Then right in the middle, trying to find that perfect, optimal balance between literal and readable, you find huge ones like the CSB and the NIV. And way over on the dynamic side, you'll find something like the NLT, which is all about making the text as clear and easy to read as possible. Now, while there's a ton to explore across this entire spectrum, for our purposes, we're really going to zero in on that formal equivalence side. So let's take a closer look at the versions that are most often praised for their super high degree of technical, word-for-word accuracy. What's so interesting is that even inside this word-for-word category, there are still really important differences. The NASB, for instance, is widely seen as the most literal English translation you can get your hands on. That makes it an absolute go-to for deep technical study. The ESV, well, it's aiming for a similar goal, but it tries to be a bit more readable. It actually calls itself essentially literal. And then you've got the NRSV, which is a huge favorite in academic circles for its scholarly rigor and precision. Okay, so we've covered the why and the what. Now for the most important part. How does any of this help you when you're standing in that bookstore trying to actually choose a Bible? After all that, I know what you're probably thinking. Okay, I get it. Just tell me which one to get. And you know what? The sources we looked at give us some really clear starting points, and it all depends on what your goal is. So if you're the kind of person who wants to do a deep, detailed analysis, really digging into the original grammar and the sentence structure, then the clear recommendations are the NASB and the ESV. Think of these as the scalpels of Bible study, They're designed for absolute precision. But hey, maybe you want something for more general reading or for a small group study. You want a good balance of accuracy and just a smooth, natural flow. Well, notice the ESV pops up again here, which shows you how versatile it is. And it's joined by the CSB, a version that was specifically designed to hit that sweet spot right in the middle of the spectrum. All of this information, it's all building to one final and I think crucial takeaway. The choice isn't just about the translation, it's about you, the reader. This right here, this is the key. There is no single best translation for every person, for every situation. The best Bible version is the one that is the right tool for the job you needed to do. Are you doing deep academic research? Are you reading devotionally in the morning? Are you reading out loud to a group of kids? Each of those jobs might need a different tool.
So, I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Knowing that some versions prioritize the original words while others prioritize the original thought, how might the translation you choose to read subtly shape what you actually understand from a passage? It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? That how we read is just as important as what we read.